Sam Seder went on Patrick Bet-David's podcast and actually told Patrick Bet-David to his face it should be illegal to be as wealthy as you. Let's react to that right now. Alrighty.
Some of that back, quite a bit of it back.
What would you do?
I would return to the tax policy when we had the greatest, sort of the widest economic expansion shared by more people as a percentage of our population than any other time in this country, which was in the 50s and the 60s. And I would return to the tax rates more or less there. So your top tax rate at that time was 90%, top marginal rate for every dollar over $470,000 you would earn. So that would be equivalent to around $3 million today. I think we should return to that type of tax
When it
scheme.
goes as high as 90%?
At the top marginal tax rate. So understand, that only kicks in with every dollar above $3 million.
I hear you.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. That's what I just heard. Oh, man. Okay, so he wants to charge 90% tax on every dollar above $3 million. So you make $3 million, you get taxed 39% of that. Then your $1 above that, you get taxed 90 cents on that $1. That is straight up robbery. So you make $4 million, you actually made $3,100,000. That's some communist stuff right there.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the famous Reagan situation where I think it was anything over $200,000 at that point. This might have been in the 40s, that he would only do 2 movies a year because he'd get paid $100,000 per movie, and then he wouldn't even do a third movie because he would only get 10% of the revenue he's like, fuck it, I'm not doing another movie.
Yeah.
So when
Reagan started telling that story,
Yep.
You know who he was working for when he started telling that story, right?
Look how
he was
snarky
going
he is.
around, I think it was for working for GE, trying to convince people not to get Medicare for all. I mean, if Reagan could have gotten 3 movies or 5 movies, he would have done it. He was working with chimps. He would have been happy to do that for his career.
Okay, so that's Sam Seder's premise. We should charge 90% income tax on everyone that's making above $3 million, on every dollar above $3 million as well. Now, that's an interesting thought. I mean, that is a far, far left thought. And I don't care about your politics, by the way. I'm not here for your politics. But Sam Seder reveals his hand by the end of this. I mean, we kind of already know the punchline, but what he actually says is nuts. So let's keep diving into these clips.
I'm not suggesting we cut revenue for businesses. What I am suggesting is after that revenue comes in and we divvy up and I have my net profits, then my taxes would go up. But I will say this, if, let's say, the taxes went up on me personally, would I stop going on YouTube? No.
So would you be able to scale it how many employees you got working for you right now?
I'm not talking about cutting revenue,
I get that. How many employees are you working for you right now?
We have payroll, I think, 6 or 7
Okay, you got
people.
6 that's a small business you got there, right?
Sure.
6 or 7 people. Okay.
Yo. PBD's subliminal shots. 6 or 7. That's a very small business you got going there. Okay.
All of a sudden, AdSense went up. The fees for your Patreon, I don't want to offend you when I say Patreon. I don't know who you use. Whoever you use that's got your membership stuff that you got.
We use Fans FM.
Okay, there you go. That's a shout out to them. So Fans FM? Fans FM?
Fans.fm. It's actually a great
Fans.fm. Okay,
service.
fantastic. So if they raise
Take
it,
less than Patreon.
if they take 50% all of a sudden, and they say YouTube says AdSense goes to 15%, would you be able to employ those 6 people?
No, if my I don't know, but probably
Maybe that's because you're rich.
No,
How-
probably not.
Bruh.
But I'm not suggesting that we cut revenue for businesses. I'm suggesting that what is left over from revenue, if it's over $3 million that goes into the pocket of the owner of this enterprise, that $300 million and $1 gets taxed
Let's
at
have fun with this.
90 cents.
Let's have fun with this. So here's a question for you. And I kind of know what your answer is.
And I want to be clear on something.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I subscribe to this not because I think that we need the money or that this is going to, be a panacea in terms of how we would spend this money.
Yeah.
But I see in this country a massive problem with wealth inequality and the commensurate political inequality that comes with it. We have wealth inequality in this country like we've never had before.
I don't disagree. So there's not.
Guys, did he not just say, I actually don't think we need the money from the people. I just don't want people that rich. That's essentially what he just said. There's so much wealth inequality. that I think we should just take it down a notch. Not because I think the government needs more money or it's going to be beneficial for people. I think we should just take it down a notch. What? That's a red flag.
Disagreement there, but the solution is where we're going to disagree. So let's kind of process that together. Okay. So the whole thing, like I remember when I first got out of the military and I went into the financial industry, it's 1999. I know nothing. It's 2000. I know nothing about it. The speaker gets up. Wow, have you been noticing that the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poor? I'm like, okay, my dad's at a cashier at a 99-cent store 15 years. My parents got divorced twice.
I hope you said to that guy, you ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah. Wait to 20 years
but you're
from now.
Right,
it's going to be completely out of control.
But you're right, though. But why is the question? So here's a question for you. So you're saying above $3 million, that money that the owner's going to keep, we got to tax them 90%. Fine. Okay. So you believe the money, like when I was in the military, you would buy a product for the Humvees, and they would say, yeah, we pay $600 for this piece. We're like, dude, this piece is $40.
Right.
Why the hell are we paying $600 for? Well, the contracts. You know how they are, man. The government always pays a lot because they're dumb. They always pay more than it's usually worth. A $40 piece for a Hummer, they're paying $600. I'm like, that's an awesome business for the other guy.
So PBD goes into this explanation of like, look, the government is not good at spending money. Who do you think is better at spending the money? The people or the government, right? And he uses the example of the government spending $600 on a piece that is only $40 for a Humvee. Simply because they can. Simply because the company can charge them that because that's how the contract is set up. Interesting.
Opportunities. Is that better for us long-term, or is it better for us to raise taxes, to take away incentives, and give that money, tax money, goes to politicians to make decisions what to do with the money? Are politicians better at making decisions on what to do with our money, or are we?
I guess in a broad way, I would say if we're going to look at the biggest chunk of money in the government to make this assessment, right? $1.7 trillion, Social Security. And we can compare it to the one sort of like comparable thing in the private sector, and that's a 401k. I would have to say, just based upon the way you set up this question, that obviously the government, because
So Sam Seder thinks the government is better at spending money than the people can. So the people are not as smart with their own money as the government would be. And his example is the difference between a 401k and Social Security. We'll dive into that.
Social Security has been the single most effective program that we have in this country. It has kept 2/3 of our senior citizens out of poverty as a social insurance program. 401ks have been a disaster. They've been a disaster. Just Google right there in front of you, the 401k experiment. People took the money out. And grant you, you can make an assessment that these individuals were stupid or immoral or whatever it is. I'm looking at the goal of keeping senior citizens out of poverty. The government has been able to do that far more effectively. 2/3 of our seniors are in nursing homes because the government is paying for it. You can look around at anything that doesn't involve a profit motive. Like, for instance, the post office. If we didn't have a government-run post office, do you think you could live in, the most rural parts of the country and get postal service for 42 cents or 48 cents? You can send a letter? No way. What person looking to make a profit would do that? In fact, I've got a great example. This is, I was doing radio.
So Sam Seder draws the correlation between a 401k and Social Security, because 401k is personal responsibility, right? You put away into your 401k and you're in charge of not pulling that out until your retirement. The problem where a lot of people fall into is that they pull it out before their retirement, right? So they're living paycheck to paycheck and then they want to go buy a car. So they pull out their 401k and now it's not working towards their retirement. He's saying the government set up the system of Social Security to where it's actually working. It's keeping old people out of poverty. And PBD goes on to bring up the idea of what happens if the Social Security goes bankrupt? And I looked at a Forbes article. Let me see if I took a screenshot of it. I looked at a Forbes article, and they said in this Forbes article that it's a complete myth. It's actually a beautiful thing what Social Security is, and it's awesome. And I do agree to an extent, right? Social Security is an airbag. It's better than dying, right? That's pretty much what Social Security is. You had 65 years to figure something out. You didn't. Now the airbag's going off. And Social Security isn't a lot of money. It's not making anybody rich, right? But this article explains that it's not going bankrupt, just the stock market part of it or the trust fund that they have set up. So 25% of your earnings in Social Security are from a trust fund that continually grows. And the other 75% are through payroll taxes. So the trust fund is going bankrupt, but the other, as long as people are working, you are still making money. Now that's a beautiful thing. And you're like, oh, it's not going bankrupt. It's not going to zero. But let me ask you this. Someone cuts your income by 25%. How you feel? Someone cuts your income by 25%. And is that totally fine? Is that oh, okay, we're not going bankrupt, so that's good. Sometimes with the statistics in today's America, cutting income by 25% is going to make people go bankrupt, quite literally. Their income will be less than their expenses. Let's look up how much Social Security actually pays out. All right. If you make approximately $50,000 per year and retire at 66, you will earn an average of $1,592 per month. However, if you were choose to retire earlier at 62, for example, you'd only earn an average of $1,075. Now you just lose 75% of that. I don't know about you, but $1,592 is homelessness in Southern California where I live. So as beautiful as this idea is that like Social Security is the best spent thing, like trust me, you start saving a 401k and you have personal responsibility early, you're going to have a lot more than $1,592 per month. Especially when that drops by 25%. Now, the problem with Social Security is that it's teaching a bunch of people that this is a good retirement plan. I was reading that Forbes article and it was like, you have no need, and they said your wealth will be distributed by wealth. $1,500 is not wealth. What are you talking about? All right, let's go to this next timestamp.
Making so much money, but I was making, I was in the top, I don't know if I was in the top 1% at that time, but probably pretty close.
So let me ask you a question.
And I was a single guy who had just gone from making, to $22,000 a year to all of a sudden making that.
How much were you making
in a week
at that point?
I mean, I was making a lot of money.
Now, how comfortable at that point would you have been paying 90% in taxes?
Sure.
So you actually want to pay 90% in taxes?
No. Let's be clear.
That?
I think it should be 90% over for the every dollar you make over $3 million.
Yeah.
That would not have impacted me at that time.
So
but I would have been happy to pay more taxes.
But why would anyone want to?
You know why I'm laughing? Because it's always let's tax the people a little richer than me. It's always let's tax the guys that are a lot
richer. But I'm just going back.
If you're saying 20,
I'm just going back
if you're saying 22 a week, you were making $1,098,000. That's a lot of money.
No. Well, it wasn't 20.
Sam Seder admits, I actually wouldn't be affected by this tax policy that I'm putting in. And this is very common, very Democrat. I don't want to make it partisan, but it's a very common thing with people that are very concerned about wealth inequality, which is always you can tax a person 90% that's making more than me. $1 million is not that much. Okay, I only make $1 million a year. It's not that much money. So therefore, I think you should tax the people above me. And this is common in San Francisco. They actually had a study run and they observed these neighborhoods where San Francisco, one of the most left-leaning, most Democrat level or intense cities in the country in general, when low-income housing was proposed to be in these nicer neighborhoods, almost like 95% of the neighborhood said no. They showed up to the council and we can't do that. So the big thing is not in my backyard. I think we should charge 90% 90% tax on people that make more than me. And I think we should have plenty of low income, affordable housing for homeless people in another city, not in my city. And that's what he's expressing here.
22 a week. That's $1 million a year.
No. That was the year before. I mean,
But you're making money.
I was making a bunch of money. But I'm just going back to when we had the Great Compression, which was when we had the least wealth inequality in this country. We had the GDP was, consistent with where, 50 million people you assume would be touched by that tax, would be implicated.
Top 1%.
Look
Look at this number right here. Share of total income taxes paid.
Less.
The top 1% in this country pay 42.3%. The bottom 50% only pay 2.3%. So 150 million people are paying nothing in taxes.
Right.
And you want to keep the 1% paying more and more.
I think it's actually even less than 1%, to be honest with you. I think we're talking about 0.05%.
Sure, but let's tax them even more.
I specifically want to make it illegal to be almost as wealthy as you. Not quite, but a little bit more. Like, I want to make it not illegal. You're not going to go to jail.
So nobody can be no billionaires. No billionaires in America.
Absolutely.
Sam,
100%.
Why?
Wow.
Don't you want America
I'll
to be
give you
known
an-
for greatness, for innovation, for capitalism, for,
for
all the
my
amazing things that we've done in this country?
My definition of
He wants to make it illegal for someone to be as rich as Patrick Bet-David. Now, the person that subscribes to this thought is someone that believes human nature is inherently bad, which I don't disagree. I think a godless country, a godless nature, is one that is extremely selfish. So I don't think the solution is charge people 90%. So when they make $4 million, they actually make $3,100,000. $3,100,000. I think the solution is we need to bring God back. Y'all need Jesus. Because if you would care for the widow, you would care for the orphan. You would have a responsibility when you make $4 million to be like, oh, I give back. I do a lot more than the government would do. So the baseline thought here is, I don't trust anybody. We're all bad. We're all bad people. And we need to pay the government a lot of money because we're so bad at taking care of one another. And the people that follow this mindset, the people that listen to the Majority Report or the Sam Seders, right, are maybe don't prescribe to that exactly, but get indoctrinated with this idea of like, there's no personal responsibility to care for the widowed and the orphaned. There's no responsibility. It's all the government. And it's just such a shame that the government doesn't do this thing. Well, it's like, get your money up. Take care of your family. Jeez Louise. We're like one of the only cultures that just like puts our old people in homes. Now, if they need intensive care, I get that. But it's like, oh, you're 75, put you in a home, you fell. It's like, or build an ADU on your property, but you can't because the money's hard. I get that. The money's hard. But I'm saying, let's future think. Hopefully we're not 54 right now watching this, realizing this. But I see the personal responsibility. I'm not watching, prescribing, listening to people that believe the problem is always fall on the government's shoulders. I think it's a horrible mindset to participate in, where someone is completely responsible of taking care of my grandma. Out of here with that. Get out of here with that. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So I think, if people were less God, more, if people had more God, people were less godless. If people knew Jesus, that they would then participate in caring for the widowed and the orphaned, participate in caring for their family, and not putting it on the government's shoulders. But yeah, I see how when you come from a point of view where we just have a godless nation, everyone's horrible, that the government should handle everything. And that's kind of nature. It's I'm mad that someone's making more money than me, so that person needs to pay $900,000 out of that $1 million. That's crazy. Not to mention the amount of people that aren't being employed because the company isn't spending more money or isn't making more money. And on top of that, and I think he's talking about the owner's income. News shock. The owner that wants to deal with 45 employees, that wants to deal with 50 employees, is the owner that wants to be making $5 to $10 million a year. People usually don't want to deal like that big of a headache, but they're also hiring lots of people. So you walk this out, it's kind of ridiculous. People will just do owner withdrawal anyways, where they bypass taxes. This is just more of a mindset. It should be illegal to be as rich as you. I don't like it. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, comment down below. I want to know what you think. And if this is your second or third video of mine that you have watched, you should definitely subscribe. Peace.